Hey everyone, welcome to your Yoga Tune-Up Therapy Balls class, which I call Need to Knead the Knees. N-E-E-D, K-N-E-A-D, and K-N-E-E. This is, as it suggests, a good class for knee health. And I'm very passionate about the sequence because about a decade ago, maybe even more than 10 years ago, I hurt my lateral ligament in my right knee. And that was because I was biking and running, and I was preparing myself for all these running and biking events with little to no prehab. I did stretches, but I didn't really do any massage points, pressure points therapy around that area, or was really conscious about strengthening my quads and all of that. And so when I do this sequence, it makes me feel good that I am prehabbing my knee and I am taking care of that area just to make sure the range of motion stays the same, and that when I bike, when I do my indoor spinning, I can pedal without having to worry about whether or not I'm going to hurt my knee. And so we are going to use the small balls today, but if you do have a wider structure in your body, feel free to grab the Yoga Therapy Balls Plus, which is a little bit bigger. If you don't have the therapy balls, you can grab the smallest size balls that you have. Just know that these have pliability. They're made of a special kind of rubber. They just have a good give in your skin and even in your clothing. And so we are going to be removing the balls out of their home, as they call it, or their tote. And we are going to be putting them in several spots in the body. We are going to be putting them vertically so in the IT band, or the iliotibial band. This is a connective tissue that goes and runs from the ilium to the tibia of the lower leg, and of course, which means it passes the knee. And if you do all that crazy stuff I was talking about, running and biking, you tend to be tight here in the IT band. I remember a decade ago, my doctor told me that my IT band was the hardest he had ever touched in his 30 years in the industry. So that was very telling. So we'll put it here in the IT band. We'll also put it in two kind of separate places in the quads family, because the quads are comprised of four muscles. It'll be the vastus medialis inside and the vastus lateralis, which is outside. And they're both extenders of the knee joint, so they help extend the knee. We're going to be putting them also in the hamstring kind of tendon here in the back, as well as the suprapatellar pouch, which is right above the knee. It's suprapatellar, so it's above that patella. And so just be ready with your balls. Please grab a pillow or a yoga block because this is required for us to prop our head on before we start. All right, let's begin. Our check-recheck pose is child's pose. The reason why child's pose is that pose that kind of provides us a before and after picture is we want to test the range of motion in the knees. So let's get in that position right now. Get in a high kneeling pose first. Separate your knees. Bring your toes towards each other, even though they don't touch. And even as you bring the hips towards the heels, you already notice if this is too much in the knees. Are you sort of in this place where you're a quarter away from where you want to be? And you slowly walk your hands forward. If you just feel like your hips are a little bit lifted, there could be other stuff going on, but it also could just be range of motion in the knees, right? And so we're not going to try to deepen our child's pose. We just want to see how our knees work and feel here in child's pose. So wherever you are, you can drop your head down or your forehead down towards the mat and just assess, notice, take a breath or two, and then slide your hands underneath your shoulders and gently bring yourself up. Just remember how that felt like right now so that after we do our therapy sequence with the balls, then we can sort of tell the difference. Okay, we're going to start here on our right side. Please grab a pillow, not on the flat side, but a little bit more propped, a little thicker so that you're propped up a little bit more or a lot higher. We're going to start here on our right side, and we know that we're going to place the therapy balls right here in our IT band. So because I've been doing this a lot, I tend to just put the ball right there, kind of right beside each other, vertically from the top to the bottom. And as I get myself in that place, I lift my leg, make any necessary adjustments, and notice how I'm slightly bending my leg first. I'm not deeply bending it, I'm also not straightening it. And sort of get familiar with that sensation before I put my head on top of the pillow. See that? And then scissor your left leg behind you. What I mean by that is just bend the left leg behind you. You can place your left hand in front of you. And so I'm a big fan of getting the wiggles and fidgets out of the way. So whatever micro movements you need to do just to get the body to familiarize itself with the pressure of the balls, do that. This is your way of acquainting and sort of embracing the experience. And so I'm not going to dictate that. Just do micro movements, maybe rolling forward and back, up and down. And if the tendency is to hold the breath when you feel a sensation, that's where you practice the exhale. So as I roll forward, there's that ooh feeling of putting weight on the balls, and that's where you feel the pressure point, the massage point, and the therapy. And so sometimes I'll even do a exhale to down regulate that reaction and to sort of bring myself into this softer place instead of a huge reactive place. So spend a few moments there. And as you're here, take a deep breath in. Exhale. All right, let's start to roll forward and back. So I can bend my leg deep here, which means I'm just bringing the lower part of my right leg in. And then slowly roll and deepen that bend. And then exhale back. Feel free to adjust the balls since the femur, the thigh bone, is pretty long, right? So if you kind of want it just an inch lower or just an inch higher, feel free to do that. Give yourself permission to make any adjustments that make sense to you. And really roll the weight of your body on that right side so you're not rolling back and not shortchanging the pressure that we're supposed to give on these balls. So just forward and back. Breathe, 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 breathe. Let's do 2 more rolls forward and back. You can already feel it. When I got injured, over a decade ago, I was foam rolling my IT band so much that it damaged it. And so these therapy balls were like magic. All right, let's start to straighten that right leg. So try not to lock that knee, but just kind of straighten it. And keep rolling forward and back. Again, make any adjustments that you need to do, because what's important to me is how you feel, not how I look. The length of my legs are different than yours. The thickness of your muscles, your tolerance in these types of practices is different, So just accommodate whatever needs to be accommodated. And it always starts with the breath. Maybe 1 or 2 more rolls with the leg extended. Last one here. And then we're going to add more weight because, masochism. Place the left leg on top of your right and continue to do the sliding and rolling forward and back. This sort of cross fiber motion. When you roll back, you can always place both feet down. You can even slip and slide the feet as you roll forward and back. And if your surface is different from mine, I'm entirely on my yoga mat. And if you're already kind of slipping out into hardwood or carpet, make the necessary adjustments. Let's do 1 more roll like this. And then I'm going to slightly straighten my right leg or extend, make any adjustments here. And just placing the left leg on top of it and adding a little bit more weight. This is where the breath matters. Breathe in. Breathe out. Recognize the weight, that lovely pressure. Nice job. Okay. Now keep the left leg on top of the right leg. And all you're going to do is just to straighten and extend that right leg, keeping the left knee on top of the right, and roll it back. Rolling it forward and then back. If you are absolutely new to this or kind of in that novice area, the feeling of, I'm not doing this right, comes up a lot. You know, students tell me. But I always tell them, just know where to put the balls, move in a way that is tolerable to you, and I'm here to guide you. You're probably not doing the wrong thing. So also trust yourself and trust your instincts. That something new like this, which is not necessarily the most pleasant feeling, your body will probably react that way because it's new, because of the newness of it. But the more you do this, the more you'll get familiar and you'll just know what works and what doesn't work. And as long as you're not in pain, you're good. One more time. Extend the right leg, keeping the left knee on top. Nice job. Okay. Now, readjust the balls if you need to. Place the left foot behind you, kind of adding pressure on the balls, and just feel that little lift of your glutes into the balls. Your left knee is kind of pointing towards the ceiling-ish. And just breathe right there. Take a few moments here, inhaling and exhale. Exhaling. Inhale. And exhale. All right, one more change. This time, you're going to deeply bend the left leg and also almost like stacking that left knee on top of the right. So you have your left toes down. You're kind of sickling that ankle behind you. So if you don't see me or see it from behind, it's kind of doing this. And then start to like extend the right leg once again, keeping that left knee on top of the right knee. And then come back to center. Ooh. It's like a tweak, a little change in that back leg. But even that adds a different sensation or makes the sensation just a tad different. One more time. Rolling like that. Back to center. Nice job. Keep your left hand down on the mat. Rest both feet down. And then lift yourself up because we're going to do a variation where we're kind of sitting in this mermaid style. Keep the balls where they are. So this is my right leg that's in front, right? Which means I may not be mirroring you. And then bend the left leg behind you. Just lean your right hand. Just place your right hand down and lean towards it, keeping your chest open. So what I try to do is I kind of hug the inside of my thigh with my left hand. And I sort of nudge it down. And then I start to straighten the right leg. I'm on a carpet surface, so it's easy for me to just slip my foot out and slide it back in. Oh my gosh, this feels so good. If you're in a different surface and you're on wood, feel free to grab a towel and then place your foot on top of the towel. That way you're like slipping and sliding. Keep your left hand down on the thigh to add any necessary weight to your tolerance. One more time. Forward and back. Beautiful. Release from this. Remove the balls from under your right leg. And it's always just good to get this nice massaging. Sliding your hands up and down the legs. And there's this thing called the other side, so we'll do that on the left side. This is my injured knee, which is the right side. And I just feel this like, it's a healthy tingle. I don't know if you guys, feel that, but I definitely feel that. Okay, again, because I've been doing this a lot, I kind of eyeball it. I just put the balls kind of vertically side by side. And then I kind of lift my leg up, come in this micro bend in the left leg, place them where I want to place them in my IT band. There you go. And then I lie down on my pillow. Make sure that I can look at the balls and where they are. And then scissor your right leg behind you because we're on the left side now. Keep your right hand down for support or security. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Again, wiggle, wiggle, fidget, fidget, micro rolls, micro movements, just to kind of not shock the body or not surprise the body too much with the sensation. So spend a few moments doing that. You can even hit the pause button. If this is the side where you're struggling, or this is the side where you're injured, or you just feel you're overtaxed in your workouts and your activities, hit the pause button and just spend a little bit more time here tending to your needs. KNEE, KNEAD, NEAD, you know the deal. That's the title. All right. Let's get rocking and rolling. Keeping your right leg behind you, which is scissored, slowly roll your left leg forward, kind of separate that, and then roll it right back. Again, move them in a spot that's productive to you, forward, and then back. I always feel, because of this motion, a confirmation that my left hip is really is more open than my right. Everything's connected. Moving and rolling forward and back. Again, it matters to me what your experience is. It doesn't matter how I look. This is just to show you what we should be doing, but move slower, breathe slower. Take this at a different pace. And take this at a pace that's more productive to you. And of course, breathe. One more roll like this. Keeping the right leg behind you. And then now we're going to start to extend the left leg. Again, make any necessary adjustments with the balls. All right? Because the thickness of your thighs may be different. You know, the body is kind of not symmetrical. So extend that leg any amount and then start to roll the leg forward. Whew, and then roll it back. Roll the leg forward and back. Now you notice that both legs are separate for now. Okay? So try not to anticipate too much what we did on that one side. I also notice the tendency to want to contract the quads when we roll the leg back. Just let the leg relax. For me, hovering it a little bit is more productive. Some people like to kind of slide their foot forward and back, and that's completely fine. I tend to vote for individual experiences rather than prescribed movements and sequences. One more time, just like this. All right. Now kind of bend to that left leg and then stack the right knee on top of it to add more weight. Breathing in and out. Really on that left side of the body. Again, try not to roll back. We really want to be here so we can feel that sensation that's being provided by the balls. Like, this is what you're here for, right? Deep breaths in and out. Facial muscles relaxed, jawline relaxed. Spend a few breaths here. And then let's roll forward and back with the right knee stacked on top of the left. Feel free to moan and groan. Make sounds. If you remember this movie in the 80s, The Gods Must Be Crazy, there's a line that goes, ay, 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 ay. That's how I feel right now. It's like, it's almost like something that you could really avoid, but you know you need to do it, you know? It's like a bitter pill. It's always the case, right? The most bitter tasting vegetable, the biggest freaking pills are always the most helpful ones or most effective. One more roll forward and back. All right, let's stop at the center, keeping the right knee stacked on top of the left. Breathe through the space. Put a pair of lungs in your left IT band. There's no quick stuff in here, guys. It's everything slow and gradual. All right, keep the right knee stacked on top of the left knee and see how it's kind of angled 45 degrees. And then keeping the knees stacked, then roll the left leg forward, straighten it any amount, and come back to center. Extend, come back to center. The knee stacking is so that you're adding a little bit more weight in there. Ooh. Now you notice I'm on my fingertips, right? That was the tendency for me to just relieve myself of this pressure, but we all know we need it, so I'm gonna convince myself to ground down and trust the process. Again, moan and groan. Don't be shy about it. One more roll just like this. And slowly rest if you need to. All right, put your right foot on top of the mat so that your right knee is kind of pointing towards the ceiling. And I like to just make adjustments on the ball there and add a little bit more weight. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. All right. Place your right knee on top of the left knee. Sickle that ankle. After doing this for years, it finally occurred to me like, oh, this does make a difference. Right toes are down. And so let's start to roll and extend that left leg forward once again, keeping that right knee on top. I know it's kind of hard sometimes, but you're doing the best you can. Forward, that left leg will hover. Exhale back. No necessary contractions or unnecessary contractions in your jawline, in your eyebrows. Try not to tense up your neck or your hands. There's already plenty of stuff going on in the lower body, so keep your upper body as calm and collected as possible. You're trying. Trust me, I know you're trying, because that's what I'm doing too. One more roll like this. And exhale. Come back, breathe, right hand on the mat, and gently push yourself up. We're going to revisit the mermaid shape. And so this is my left leg. The right leg is behind. Again, I may not be mirroring you. Left hand down, lean towards the hand, but keeping your chest open. Right hand sort of cups and embraces that fleshy middle part of the thigh. And then almost like rolling your outer thigh to hug the balls right here. And then slowly straighten that left leg. Oh, it's always a different sensation. And then exhale back. This was, I guess, the sensation. It's a lot different between my left and right side. So you might discover that in your body too. Accept it, embrace it. We're not symmetrical at all. Notice the tendency to sink as this sensation may not be the most pleasant. Keep the chest open. There's some deception in the upper body and in the breath. Just keep it soft and keep your sense of humor. At the end of the day, we're rolling balls, right? And this is good stuff for the knee. Trust me. Trust me. I've gone through like knee sensations and misdiagnosed knee injuries, and it's not good. So it's up to us to prehab. All right, come to center, remove the balls underneath your legs. Again, they should feel a little bit even right now. Just touch the legs, a little bit of self-love right here. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my chair, so hit the pause button, and I will also be right back. Hello, I'm back. I just wanted to show the chair variation of this pose, because a lot of people who have knee issues are also those people who cannot get on the floor. And so it's very important for us to really recognize the props around our house and our environments and what actually we can do with those props to still keep the practice going. So grab your two balls. Again, it'll be in your IT band, that iliotibial band. And so as I sit right here, I want to point out a few things. I'm going to start here on my right leg. So this is my right side. The back leg is my left leg, right? It's important that your left foot is solid on the ground and that at least your right toes, that right foot, are able to come in contact with the ground. If you're hovered here and there's really no other chair that you can find at home, place a yoga block underneath, a pillow, a towel, something that just meets you halfway. That way you can kind of just rest that foot and focus on all the sensation that's happening here in the bigger tissues of the thigh. So I'm going to scoot myself forward, see how my right foot is coming in contact. Left foot is solid behind me. And it's okay if it's going inward, that's fine. Locate your iliotibial band, lift your leg, and then you can kind of test out, am I in the right place? Was this where I was before? And so your stool or your chair will ideally not have anything around it that would disrupt from the natural roll or the open rolling that we're going to do. But whatever prop you got around you, your house, maybe a hard couch, a stool, something, then you're doing the best you can. Even the corner of a living room table will also do. So let's get started. So I'm here kind of in the outside of my IT band. My left hand is sort of hugging my middle thigh. My fingers are pointing outward so I can kind of direct it to the direction that it's going. And same thing, get the fidgets, get the wiggles, get these small micro movements. But since we've been here before, you're already familiar with that sensation. So what we're going to do is we're going to get both hands on your thighs and like really cup that thigh and then moving and rolling it outward. Notice my left foot in the back is not moving. Leaning a little bit of my weight on top of the thighs without unnecessarily crunching or holding too much tension in my upper body. Back to center, rolling out. Ooh, this feels good. My bench has a little bit of a cushion on top of it. If yours does not, then your sensation might be deeper and bigger, but it doesn't make it any less substantial. You know, we're just using all the props and furniture we have at home. It doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe one more, just like that. And then come to center, breathe, remove the balls out of the way. A little bit of self-love, self-patting. Gonna move the bench slightly to the middle here. Again, it's important that your right foot behind you is solid. Left toes can glaze the ground or the mat, wherever you are. Locate that IT band. As I'm touching it, it brought me back to the sensation that we were earlier. There's that recall and recognition. Okay. IT band, kind of rolling it outward already. Solid right foot behind you. Right hand hugging the inside of that mid-thigh and reminding the body the direction that we're supposed to roll. Micro movements, any small fidgets, get it out of the way until you're ready for the full experience. So both hands can be on the thighs and then just pressing it down, opening up that hip, feeling the sensation here outside the thigh, and come back to center. The reason why this is a lot more effective than foam rolling over and over is the connective tissues there, like the IT band, they're quite sensitive, right? And so we really don't want to put a large surface item or equipment like a foam roller and just like kneading it over and over and over. It actually can cause more damage to those tissues. These therapy balls, they have a small enough contact point with your skin to your muscle and your fascia that there may be sensation, but it's not too big. It's not too rough on the connective tissues. Perhaps one or two more rolls just like that. And then come back to center. Hit the pause button if that felt good to you and you want to do it longer. Otherwise, we're going to go back into the mat here in a little bit. Hi. Now we're going to get into the suprapatellar pouch on the knee. So this is the kneecap, right? Supra just means superior, which is on top of the patella. And this is that meaty, fleshy part of the knee. So grab your yoga block, please. The yoga block is required here. If you don't have a block, maybe a pillow, but just nothing too cushiony. Something that has a bit of a not necessarily a rough edge, but a solid edge at the top where you can just put the ball and it's not going to go anywhere, right? And it's not going to hug it either. So to get into that position, touch that part of the knee. If this is the knee joint and this is the thigh bone, you really want it kind of on top in the fleshy area. So I'm wearing pants that are kind of have a cottony feel to them. So this ball is not going to roll out when I place the flesh on top of it. If you are wearing some clothing and you know they're kind of slippery or glossy, you can either roll it up so that the ball is really coming in contact with your skin, or just wear a different type of clothing. Clothing does matter. So placing the ball on top, and I'm just going to kind of prop up that fleshy part of my knee on top of the ball, get into this tripod position. It's really quadruped, but kind of this knee is hanging. Placing my hands underneath the shoulders, spreading your fingers like you would in a normal quadruped or like cat-cow for support. And then again, little movements, fidgets, familiarization, acquaintance, whatever you call it. Get familiar with the sensation first. And as you're there, you know when you're getting in that kneecap. You really don't want to be there. Slightly above. And now we're just going to lift the foot and bend that right leg. If I didn't mention that, we're starting on the right side. And then slowly lower it down. Neutralize the back of the neck any amount. Just find the softness in the upper body. Get a strong foundation here with your hands and your elbows and your shoulders. But the facial muscles, the neck, your chest, just let it remain liberated and open. Just bending up and down. You can relax those toes. Try not to unnecessarily add any stress in the ankles or toes. And then as we're bent here, we're just going to swing the knee to the left and to the right so that the foot is going to go the opposite direction. Breathing here. Oh my gosh, if my knees could talk, it would tell me thank you and I love you in 10 different languages. One more time, left and right. Nice job. And so now we're going to contract that quad. Feel the quad contracting as you send the right foot down. So when I say contract, it's like you're activating that quad, right? And then as you bend it in, feel the stretch of the quad. I notice when I have a slight tuck of my tailbone down that becomes more effective. Maybe to you have the same experience or not. Just recognize that. Contracting the quad as we lower the foot. Feeling the stretch and the opening as we bend it. About 2 more times like this. Hopefully you're breathing. And slowly lower the foot. Hit the pause button if that felt good to you and you want to do this longer. Otherwise, remove the knee away from the ball. You can rest, always touching that area that we were just at. And then if you wish to move to the other side, you can do that. Again, the ball is just right there. Can you guys tell what one of my favorite colors is? It's purple. There's just purple everywhere. Again, touching the area where the ball should be. I always do that, like this is where it should be. And so I'm going to place my right knee down, my hands down, and then just plunk the knee area on top of the ball. All right. Here we go. Hands down, finding a nice solid foundation with the arms. Small movements, side to side, forward and back. If I'm looking at you right now, if I could, it looks like nothing much is happening because the movements are very small. And it's a handshake. It's a good morning. How does this feel on this side type thing? All right. Now let's get moving. We're just going to bend that left knee, send the left foot in, and then slowly lower it down. Just bending and extending. That's all we're doing. Why does this feel so good, right? We put a lot of stress on our knees. And if you were like me, just training for triathlons and running and runs and bike events, and you think stretching is just enough, and we couldn't be more wrong. There's a lot of things we can do to prehab and to preempt, because we put our bodies in these sort of extreme ambitions and events and activities, and we forget that there is this thing called aging and wear and tear. And what do? Right? We lubricate, we move, we mobilize, we stretch. It's not just one trick, it's many tricks in the toolkit. All right, keep that left foot lifted, and then we're just going to send the knee to the left, roll it over to the right. The foot is going to go the opposite direction. Do that a few more times, keeping the weight. Again, suprapatellar, it's above the patella, above your kneecap. It's not on the kneecap. Soften the neck any amount. Back to center. Now we're going to contract the quad, placing the left foot down. Really feel it contract, activating it. And then feel a stretch as you bring the foot in. Nice. These are conscious efforts, right? These are part of the program. This was really written into the program, into the sequence by the inventor Jill Miller, who's an amazing human being. And so we know that these are not just little intermissions. This does make a big difference. Perhaps one or two more times just like that. Nice sensation. And then slowly release. You can sit back, or you can get on the high kneeling position, or you can even stand up and shake your legs or just shake your thighs right here. All right, nice job. Now we're going to get into probably my favorite part. Jill Miller calls this the knee kebab, because we are going to make a sandwich. So grab both of your balls and then your yoga block. Still recommended is to use the pillow. Actually, I'm going to switch it over to this side because we are going to start on the right side. And so where the ball is going to go is going to be in the vastus lateralis, which is outside, and the medialis. Again, these are parts of the quad muscle, because there's 4 parts. They help extend the knee. And then we're going to place the block on top of the ball that's in the medialis. And then we're going to place our left thigh on top of that yoga block. So to get into that, I recommend you have your pillow. Again, not on the flat side, but a little higher, a little thicker. Place yourself right there. I'm going to remove my mic so nothing happens to it. Get on that right side. Slightly bend that leg. And I'm going to place the ball kind of in the mid-thigh this time, not so much in the upper area. Vastus lateralis outside, inside the thigh. My yoga block, so what works for me is that my yoga block is kind of in line and parallel with my thigh. I know some people who has it the other way around, who have it this way. Totally up to you what works for you. But because we're placing the left thigh on top of it, see why this is called a kebab? Because we're kind of making that sandwich. Make any necessary adjustments. Okay. Even with the hair, that's okay. You can rest the hands down, but for now, just kind of hold that block in place and then roll onto that outer thigh and feel the weight inside and outside that thigh, and just breathe through it. Calm the face down, calm your sense of anticipation, and then you'll realize as you exhale, the right foot even kind of surrenders into gravity and softens towards the mat. It always happens to me. Breathe here. In and out. Soft inhales and exhales. Now, my left foot at the back, I'm going to rest it down on the mat. That way it feels supported. If you have short legs and you're feel that this left foot is just hovering. You can even put it on top of a block. Actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and grab that so I can really show you how that helps. If you have long legs, then you're good. I'm a short person, so gotta kind of work whatever works for me. Okay, so we're right here. Put your hand on the block, so kind of just put it in place. And then we're going to start to extend that right leg, roll it out. You can slip and slide on your ground, on your carpet, on your hardwood. It may hover a little bit and then bring it back to center. Slow as you go. Both sides of your thigh is feeling or are feeling this sensation. I really recommend you take the time to slide it forward and back. Breathing in, breathing out, extending, rolling it out just a tiny bit and back to center. A few more times. Soften the face. And then the next time you extend that leg, the right leg, roll over to the outside of the thigh more, adding a little bit of weight on top of the block. Maybe I can get my left thigh in there. Breathe, breathe, breathe. A few moments right here, a few breaths more. And then bend that right leg back. The left foot could be stacked on top of the right foot if it can, and just relax the hands if you want, and then just kind of roll onto that ball underneath. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Beautiful. All right. Remove the balls, remove the blocks. Lay on your backs with a pillow underneath your head. Just place the balls on the belly. Find your center and just pause. Close the eyes. Just breathe. Okay. Now let's do that all on the left side. So I'm going to transfer my pillow over. No matter how you're doing this, it's not wrong. We're just going to get on that left side. Ooh, I feel electricity here on the right side. Again, make sure that you have your one block and your two balls. Prop your head on top of your pillow on your left side right now. Again, vastus, lateralis, medialis. It's just muscles in the quad. Micro bend that leg. It's right here. Place the ball inside. Oops. It does happen. Make sure that the yoga block is right on top of it. One of my blocks will be kind of right by my right foot, so I can really rest my foot on the ground. Pinning, finding your sandwich here. Oops. It's always my side that I struggle with, the side that I struggle with. There you go. Finally finding my sandwich. Again, you can release the hands, get those micro movements. Breathing through this familiarization, this handshake, the hi, hello portion of the program. And then grab a hold of your block as we start to introduce some movements here. So as we're here, right hand on the block to just keep everything in place. Make sure you're really on your left side and you're not on your back. That way you're adding weight into the balls. And then slowly extend that left leg, just relaxing that foot and coming back to center. Just rolling forward and back. You'll probably feel a zinging, a resonation of this sensation outside of your left knee. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just reminds you, yep, everything's connected. Still kind of in this quad area, right? So just make sure that you're not behind that knee. You're really sort of kind of outside. It's called vastus medialis and lateralis. Lateralis just means in the lateral part, the outside part. But you're still in that quad area. One more time, lengthening it forward. You can rest the foot if you can. If not, it will stay hovered here. And adding a bit more pressure by rolling the body towards that left side. Breathing in, breathing out. Holding the yoga block so everything stays in place. Deep breaths. And now bending the left leg. You can stack the right foot on top of it. And then really rolling onto the left side of your body to kind of feel that weight underneath. On top of the ball underneath. Make any necessary adjustments to the ball. Making sure that we're really in that quad area again. One last push. And slowly come back to center. Grab the balls. Grab the yoga block. Roll on your backs. Place the ball on your belly. And find your center. Just pause and breathe. All right. Now we're going to get into our hamstring tendons. So roll onto one side, push yourselves up, and we're going to start here with our right side with our right leg. So if you wish to do this while sitting on a block or a pillow, feel free to do that. I might actually do that because it's just good to feel propped up and for your lower back to feel protected, especially for those of you who have lower back issues. We're actually going to just use one ball at a time. And so these are your hamstrings, which are the back of the thighs, and this is the back of the knee. Placing the ball towards the outside area, and then clipping that ball between sort of your upper part of your calf and your hamstrings. So as you're here, really take the time to kind of acquaint yourself with this sensation. This should be a weird sensation, because when was the last time we put something like a ball behind the knee, right? Unless you're me and you do this a lot. But if you are not familiar with this sensation, this may take a while for you to get acquainted to, but that's okay. That's what you're here for. And so I noticed that if I kind of just interlace my fingers in front of the shin, it's good so I can get a focus on the movement. What's important to me right now, again, is that you get familiar with the sensations, spend a few moments here, press the pause button if that's what you feel like doing, and then just sort of roll towards the inside of your ankle, outside of the foot, inside the foot rather, and then outside. Kind of just rolling that. Keeping the compression here with the knee. Again, it's towards the outside of that knee. Keeping the compression on the ball. Kind of just going inside and out. And the movement of your knee may be teeny tiny, it may be big, but just focus on the foot right now. Just in and out. Then let's change things up a bit so that we're going to lift our heels off of the mat. So you're on your toes and then down. You can even lift the toes if you want that sensation. Lifting the knee up, the heel up. Or just keeping the heel down. That's cool too. Do this a few more times. And then as you're done doing sort of the pointing and flexing of that ankle, then just compress and really find that closer relationship between the calf and the hamstring. So you're going to press into the ball and then relax. Just contract and relax. Press in, let go. Make sure that you use the breath for that. Try not to hold the breath. Keep the breath going, even as we're doing this contracting and releasing. One more time. Nice job. All right. Grab the ball with your thumb and your index finger and just kind of stay right here. And there's sort of this spinning motion that Jill Miller talks about. And I always skip this part somehow. But once I started doing this, I started recognizing, oh, because it's manual manipulation. You know, when you kind of spin into your tissues with that ball using your hand. And for some people, this is actually the more tolerable practice. And so if that compression and that contraction and release was too much, or any of this was too much, maybe do this instead. Kind of just spinning on the tissues. Ooh, feels good. One more time like that. And then slowly release. I'm just going to slide over to this side, but I'm still on my right leg because this time we're going to pin that ball, but now it's towards the inner part of the knee, same thing as we did before. Again, get familiar, get acquainted with this sensation. I was gifted with bulging ankles, so you can really see the bulging of my ankles here. It's kind of good. I'm kind of proud of it because I rarely have calf issues. Sorry, not my ankle, but my calf, sorry. And now I'm going to remove it. And now I'm going to switch over to this side. We're still going to stay on the right side, but now we're going to place the ball in the inside of that knee. So you kind of lift that leg up, pin the ball towards the inside once again. You can kind of see my calf is bulging. So you can kind of pin it, again, interlace your fingers, and focus on that sensation, kind of gently pressing and then releasing, if that feels good. And then we're going to revisit the same sort of spinning motion that we did with our hand. And so grab it with your thumb and index finger, kind of spinning the tissues on the knees. Again, I used to skip this part, but now I recognize this may actually be like a more tolerable sensation. Spinning, spinning, spinning. And then slowly release. Ooh, nice job. Okay, we're going to do all that on the other side. So while I'm here, I'm just going to face this way because we are going to get on our left side. So bending my right leg, we're going to get outside that left knee area, but still behind the knee. Hamstring and calf kind of get close together. Whew. It's always a different experience on this side. Get acquainted. This kind of helps open the kneecap, right? Because there's space behind it. Interlace your fingers in front of the shin. And then we're going to get into the inside of the foot, and then outside, just kind of rolling it forward and back. And like I said, the motion that you see on that knee going left and right may be big or small, depends on your body type, and it depends on just how your body moves. Ball is right there, outside that knee. Hamstring and calf close together, and just breathe. Outside and inside of that foot. And then we're going to lift the heels off of the mat, kind of doing the flexing and pointing. You can lift the toes if you want. A little bit of press, it's a different experience. Or you can just lift the heel and plant it down. You can do that as well, whichever one feels good to you. Do that a couple more times. For those of us who have knee injuries and the body does have tolerance for these experiences, it's like a game changer. One more time. And as you come down and plant your foot down, do the contract and relax. So you're kind of pressing the hamstrings and the calves closer together, really like pinning that ball in, and then just release. Contract and relax. And just because we're doing some contraction here doesn't mean you also hold the breath. That's the tendency I see in a lot of people, in my students. And so just keep the breath going even as you do these motions. Kind of like when you're contracting your glutes, don't necessarily hold the breath as you're squeezing your glutes and igniting your core, right? You just kind of keep that breath going. The plumbing, the water in your plumbing has to keep going even as the engine is fired up. Grab the ball with your thumb and your index finger. Kind of spin it. Your tissues. Again, this is a more tolerable sensation. Just doing this for years. And so once you get acquainted with like the sequence, you can actually consider doing this first, and then you get into the spinning of the ankles and then the contract and relax and lifting your heels, that part of the sequence. Spend a few moments here. Ooh, feels good. It's like getting acquainted with all the neighbors in this hood, kind of like the spinning. And now we're going to get to the other side. Okay, there you go. Let's get into the inner knee, inner area, pinning it down, getting acquainted. You guys probably know which side sort of becomes a little bit more reactive and which side is a little bit more tolerant and patient. And then again, grabbing that ball with your thumb and your index finger and get a spinning. Feels good. I'm one of those people that got gifted with very, very pronounced calves, right? As a lot of Asians have, kind of in their natural gene, is just to have that like very pronounced calf. So you really see the bulge here. All right. One more spin. And then gently release. Whew. We have one more. And then we'll get in our check, recheck, which is that child's pose. Okay. We are going to do half child's pose with the balls behind our knees. So pick a side. We're going to start with our right side because that's where we started earlier. Placing the ball behind that knee. And then sit your hips towards your heels. And I've seen people do this with both balls on, both knees. And I just prefer to just do one side at a time. But that's my preference. If you've done this a lot and you're used to putting both of the balls at the same time, then you can do that. Otherwise, with the ball in the right leg, behind that right thigh, send your knees to the left, which sends your hips to the right. And then roll over to the other side, hips to the right, knees to the left. Just kind of rolling with the shins. Breathing in and out. If you want to shift the ball so that it's more towards the inside area, that's usually not tolerable for a lot of people, but it does make for a very short-term relief, kind of massage area. I can't even stay long here. So it's like I recognize that and then I tell myself, this is why we'd rather have that on the outer knee area. It's tolerable and it makes for a more sustainable practice. Shifting from side to side. And then, if you, like me, did this one at a time, grab the ball or one of the balls, place it behind the knee towards that outer knee area. Hands on the ground, hips and knees going opposite direction. As the knees kind of roll into the left side, the hips go right, and vice versa. Breathe through this. Just as a check and a confirmation, place your ball kind of in the middle part of the knee and recognize what that does. If it's ouch, right? Or even if you have tolerance for that, just know that's not necessarily a place that can be sustainable, that we can stay a long time in. So just recognize that, and then roll the ball out towards the outer part of the knee once again and revisit that motion that we just did. Huge difference, right? It's like 1 inch to the outside and bam, it's a huge difference. Slide hips in and out, side to side rather. Last time. And then slowly remove the balls. Oh my gosh, that was so good. If you wish to do kind of a camel pose or a camel shake, do that. Otherwise, let's get into our recheck pose, which is child's pose. Knees apart, toes towards each other. And even as you're here, and you can notice how your hips move back towards the heels, perhaps a little bit with ease, with more ease now. Or if you're like me and that was really no issue to you, right? You have range of motion in the knees, you have no issues right now. You can kind of just see a deeper relationship of your hamstrings and your calves. Like somehow they're just like probably easier to come together. You can do full child's pose here with your heads down, arms extended forward, and just breathe through the space behind the legs, behind the calf and the hamstrings. Breathe through the space outside the thighs, the IT band. Breathe through the inner thighs. And breathe through that area above the patella. Notice the difference here. And when you're done, slide the hands underneath the shoulders and gently roll yourself up. Nice job, you guys. Roll the shoulders back. Take a moment to just breathe here, inhaling and exhaling. And with a smile, I thank you so much for sharing your practice today. I hope your knees feel better, or that you can make this as prehab of your knees. And so just take care of your joints. And I hope you enjoyed this practice. Thank you so much. Namaste from me to you. Always pulling for you. Take care and goodbye for now. See you next time.